Hi people, how are you? Hope you are healthy, fine and in pink of health. So today we are going to discuss about what is Roe versus Wade, which the US Supreme Court has overturned, and why is it significant. Okay, so the landmark 1973 Roe versus Wade judgment, it had legalized abortion in US, but it has now been recently struck down by the Supreme Court's conservative majority, obviously the US Supreme Court's. So why is this decision so important, and what is the position of abortion in India? We are going to have a discussion about it. Okay, so what is exactly this Roe versus Wade? So the case, it is of common, sometimes referred to simply as Roe. Roe was actually the listed name for 22-year-old plaintiff, and Wade was the defendant. Okay, so Roe had struck down the laws that made abortion illegal in several states and ruled that abortion would be allowed up to the point of fetal viability. So what is fetal viability? Fetal viability is the time after which a fetus can survive outside the womb. So fetal viability was around 28 weeks, that is 7 months at the time of Roe judgment, which was nearly 50 years ago. But now experts agree that advances in medicines have brought the threshold down to 23 to 24 weeks, and newer studies show that this could be further pegged at 22 weeks. So average pregnancy lasts about 40 weeks. Now what happens is that fetal viability is often seen as the point at which the rights of women can be separated from the rights of unborn fetus, as I told you earlier. So the length of pregnancy is commonly calculated from the starts of person's most recent menstrual period. Since many people, they identify pregnancy over only after the 6th week, the pre-viability timelines leave women with very little time and opportunity to make decisions to abort. So abortion laws across the world, they rely on this metric, but those opposing abortions argue that this is an arbitrary time frame that legislation and court in Roe adopted. Okay, so the next thing is that what is the decision of Supreme Court on this? What is the decision of, why is the decision of Supreme Court so important? So the issue of abortion, it has sharply split opinion among the conservatives and liberals in the US for decades. So until a few years ago, challenge to Roe versus Wade would have been unlikely to succeed, but the changes in the character of Supreme Court, because I told you that the Supreme Court's conservative bench is there, so because of which there are changes. Okay, so the clear conservative majority in Supreme Court gave the conservatives their best chance for decades to overturn the Roe. In fact, the New York Times, it had earlier reported that depending on how court worded its final judgment, the overturning of Roe could mean that legal abortion excesses would effectively end for those living in much of America and America South and Midwest, especially those who are poor. And liberal commentators, they have predicted seismic changes in American society as a result of overturning of Roe. So it will be significant decisions with ripples around the world as victory for conservative right-wing opinion. Okay, now the next thing is what will happen in US now. Since there is no federal law protecting the right of abortion in US, the overturning of Roe leaves abortion laws entirely up to the states. Conservative states will likely bring back restrictive laws that prohibited abortions before the Supreme Court set the fetal viability standard in 1973. I hope when I say these things, it's making sense. Okay, so the New York Times, they had earlier estimated that legislature in 22 states would almost certainly move to ban, or they would substantially restrict the access to abortion, and poorer women could bear the burnt in most cases. In New York Times also reported that without the protection of Roe, the number of legal abortions in US, they could fall by at least 14%. Quoting research based on the effects of closure of abortion clinics in Texas, it was between 2013 and 2016. Okay, so activists and progressive politicians, they have also made the availability of clinics, insurance payouts are crucial issues that form the part of struggle of many women, even with the backing of Roe. So with this legal backing on, access could become even harder. Now let us see what is the position of abortion in India. So Indian Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971, it allows abortion until 20 weeks of pregnancy. Through an amendment in 2021, I hope you might have heard about it, there was an amendment in 2021, the ceiling for abortions it was raised to 24 weeks, but only for special categories of pregnant women such as rape or incest survivors, and that too with the approval of two registered doctors. So in case of fetal disability there is no limit to the timeline for abortion, but that is allowed by medical board of specialist doctors set by the governments of states and union territories. So in approximately 16 countries around the world abortion is entirely prohibited and even criminalized, but there are several Catholic majority nations such as Ireland and Mexico which have decriminalized abortion in the last decade. So that's for the day. Thank you for listening, and do let me know what do you think, whether putting down this Roe versus Wade judgment is right or wrong. Waiting for your comments below. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care and have